We are live. It is Wednesday, January 11th, 2017. Sharks lose a heartbreaker to the Calgary Flames. Yes, we said that about 2 months ago, but it is what it is. Calgary is a never say die team, and they lose to the Calgary Flames 3-2 over to the San Jose Sharks. So welcome to this edition, as I'm getting distracted from my own voice, to this edition of Pucknology After Dark. I am Eric Cura, alongside Ian Reed, Eric Landy, and a mega special guest out of nowhere because we've missed her so much, Shalana Goldman. We'll get to the crew and their initial reaction in just a second, but if you want to be a part of the show, here's how you do it. Use the hashtag PucknologyAD. You can use that on the Twitter machine. You can also join us in the YouTube chat or the YouTube page or on the app. Either way, join us there. And with that, let's check in with the crew. Good evening, Mr. Reed. Ian.
Hi.
Hi. All right. About to go bowling, Mr. Landy.
Bowling is probably better than the outcome of this game.
But they played a heck of a game. And our special mega guest, the one, the only from yardbarker.com, it is Shalana Goldman. My dear, it's been forever since we see you on the show. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's good to see you guys as well. It's been a long time.
I know, it's been forever, hearkening to the days a long time ago. I know we only have a few minutes for you, so let's get right into it. What did you take from tonight's game?
I mean, granted, being that this was going to be a road trip, two tough teams, and on the tail end of a back-to-back, and with a defense that has not been healthy and has not been fully together for the last two games, that's really tough. And so they did I thought that they played a pretty sturdy game. It wasn't enough to get the win. And that would have been nice to do that, being that they're tied for first in the division with Anaheim right now. And plays Colorado tomorrow with the to advance. So I think what this team really needs right now is to get healthy. Give it a couple days. They're going to have a tough task ahead of them on Saturday with St. Louis in town.
Yeah, and one of the big, I don't want to say rivalry game, but it is a rivalry game as it's a rematch with St. Louis coming back into town. Is there a fall guy for tonight, would you say?
I don't know if I necessarily say there was one particular guy that messed up at that third goal by Calgary, because Dell was made the stop on Tkachuk really quick, and then that eluded him short side and went in for that third goal. I think that might have ricocheted off of somebody else. I do not think that was a straight shot. I'm gonna have to go look at it. But I didn't think anybody made a huge relapse that turned the tide of the game, especially because their third period looked pretty good. The last couple of games, they've looked a little flat in their third. So no, I don't know if there's one particular guy that I would pin this on. But again, I do kind of want to see what happened with that third goal.
Definitely. And what did you think of Dale tonight?
I thought he looked pretty solid. I think he was a little jittery at the start of the game. I did see that he had a lot of family in town. I'm sure that played an effect. But then he really hunkered down, and he made some pretty good saves there. Especially that one on Tkachuk, who is a little babyface assassin and plays really well against San Jose. Given that Dell hasn't had that many starts this season, they've put the bulk of the workload on Jones, which was kind of expected. Given that this is only, what number start is this? I don't even remember off the top of my head. I believe
it's 7,
maybe 6 or 7. Given that, I thought he looked pretty sharp, and he did get better as the game went on, which I think is important.
Definitely. Awesome. Guys, did you have any questions for Shalana before we send her off into good times?
Good times.
Ian's got nothing. Landy?
I mean, I don't know. Shalana, what did you think of Dylan's game tonight? What did you think? First off, what did you think of the penalty call in, I guess it was the second period to tie it up?
I didn't like that call. I really didn't. As far as Dylan goes, this was actually he had kind of a seesaw game tonight. There are nights where he's really good. There are nights where he doesn't show up as much. It was a little back and forth. However, that call I did not care for.
Yeah, because I kind of echoed the same sentiment. I mean, I've been one of his harsher critics, in the last season, and I think this year I've really kind of toned off because he has made marked improvements since last year. I felt like he's. I guess I would wonder if maybe the thought process of holding somebody's stick while the ref is watching you. I would have thought he would have thought through that one a little bit more. And it's just kind of it was harkening back to him last year where he just made some really boneheaded plays.
Well, one of the things to keep in mind about him this season, and something I go back to something that Brent Burns said at the beginning of last season when he finally had Paul Martin. He was going to have a regular partner. Brendan Dillon didn't have a regular D partner for the bulk of last season, and I think that really contributed. And the defense is they're going through a buttload of injuries right now. Yes, they have Vlasic back, and you can see right off the bat at the start of last night's game how much better they looked, just to be so much more defensively sound. But Brendan Dillon, he's gone from Schlemko to DeMello, and he hasn't had somebody regularly due to injuries on the blue line, and so I think that does affect his play, and that's hard. That's hard for any defenseman.
And just go back and forth. Oh, sorry, Landy. Just go back and forth between all those defensemen as well. Landy, one.
Yeah, no, and I think for me, I think he actually, besides the penalty, which I thought was just bonehead, because you've got the ref right there, and sure, it was really ticky tack, and I will say first off that the officiating in that third period was not great. I think I think they could have called more. Whatever, it's what happens, but it's just the fact that he didn't have enough. I guess presence of mind to realize that the ref was right there, and he holds on to his stick. I don't know. To me, you're putting your team in a tough situation when you do that, when you make a dumb play like that, and you're already down a defenseman. So now you've basically neutered your PK to 4 defensemen.
I can see that. I wouldn't hang my hat too heavy on it. Kind of pick it up. I mean, they had ample opportunities to get the go-ahead goal as well and didn't do it. So I wouldn't hang everything on Dillon, but I do see what you are saying. However, but again, I wouldn't stress too hard about it.
All right. Well, Shalane, I know we had just a short time with you, but thank you for coming on. Where can people find your work, and where can they follow you on Twitter?
Oh, they can always follow me on Twitter. Always come talk to me. I am at Shalena Goldman, CHELENA. I'm sure you guys will put that up somewhere.
Definitely.
Come by and say hi, especially during a game. You guys need to come to games more and come say hi to me. That was wonderful when I got.
Well, it's not like we have a great access to the press box, unfortunately.
Well, just in general, just to kind of see that was very. I got to see you guys and Bright, and I don't get to see any of you very often. So
well, we miss you tons. It's why we wanted to grab you on when we can. So thank you for coming on. You can also find her work on yardbarker.com. Shalena Goldman, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a wonderful night.
All righty.
Thanks, Shalena.
Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, and we move on. Let's quickly remind you that this show is presented by Audible, an Amazon company. We've partnered with them to provide over 180,000 audiobooks, where you can get a free 30-day trial, and you can keep one to yourself, whether you continue using the service or not. Log on to audibletrial.com/PAD. You get a free book. You help support the show. Everybody wins. That's audibletrial.com/PAD. Alrighty, let's get into the action here. So, Ian, let me hear your initial reaction from tonight.
Mirko Mueller was invisible in this game. Just invisible.
Invisible. Excellent. Well, Landy, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but what did you take from tonight?
You know what? I mean, overall, I think that they played a pretty good game. I mean, it wasn't, like Chelino was saying, it wasn't, enough to win them the game, but considering they're down a defenseman, considering it's back-to-back, and considering Calgary kind of has that Colorado-esque, thin air situation going on, I think they played a pretty good game. And I think Dell had a really strong effort tonight. I just think that when you're running 5 defensemen and your defenseman, you've got to be on your best behavior. And I think that he just kind of had a brain fart and didn't realize that the ref was there. And honestly, at that point, you could see the momentum swing. I think after that power play goal, you could just see them sag a little bit, and they had already been kind of sitting back, with their lead. But I think it was even more pronounced afterwards. And that was my take.
And with that, good night, everybody. No,
Good night.
It was. They had their ups and downs, but they definitely kept Calgary in. And I can say, and unfortunately, again, and I believe it was also him in San Jose in November. I think it was Matthew Tkachuk that had the late goal to bury the Sharks. The kid's good. His dad was good. So let's.
A quick question before we even move past it. I just want to talk about Tkachuk real quick. Do we think he's better than his dad?
Yes. They're different kind of players, though.
Yeah, I know, different era, different kind of player. I think Matthew definitely has. I don't know. He has a lot of score, but he still kind of got his dad's fire. I kind of like it. I like that kid.
All right, so let's kind of get right into it. Into this thing. First off, started off with a little lineup snafu. It sounded like that they were going to roll with Paul Martin. Seemed like he was giving it a go during the warm-ups, and then that time, whoever's in charge of the lineup card sent it over to the league officials, with Martin being in the lineup, and I guess at the last minute he tweaked something and he wasn't able to go, so they're going to put Mirko Mueller in. Mirko, I think, actually played
16 seconds, I believe.
16 seconds. Although I guess they don't show him on the. They don't show him on the.
Because he's a legal player.
Legal player. So, but he was out there for a shift. So, and funny, this happened Saturday night in Calgary, where the Canucks dressed 13 players, or 13 forwards and 5 defensemen, and sat the 13th forward for the entire game.
Yeah, it's the timesheet. It is what it is. I mean,
yeah,
it's stupid. There's no excuse for that kind of mistake at the NHL level. Like, this isn't Little League. Like, the fact, like, the Shark. If I'm the Sharks right now, I'm embarrassed. If I'm the person who's responsible for handing that in, that I'm sure Peter DeBoer has someone do that for him. I'm probably not looking anyone in the eye as I walk around and get back on the plane with the team. I might not even get on the plane. I might just get my own ride home.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a dumb mistake for the Sharks to make, period.
Steve Spott, paging Steve Spott. Please come to the front of the plane, Steve Spott.
Whoever it was is in a it's big trouble, because that basically was like a game misconduct, and that's 6.5 minutes into the game, and I'm so Mirko gets to go home. Thanks for playing a moment.
And I think the other thing too is that the NHL now has to review this, and there could be some kind of supplemental addition to the basically forfeited player. I mean, I think you look at a fine. I think the other thing could be I think it's a fine.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a fine, if anything, because there's just no way else. I mean, there shouldn't be anything else, personally. But the league, the Sharks get over it and get going. And they get an opening goal. Burnsy on the power play. Hey, we got a power play goal. Makes it 1-0. Well, it's not Burnsy, but he had a nice shot pass from to Logan Couture on a tip. I was getting ahead of myself. That's when Burnsy made it 2-1, but that was after Michael Frolik made it 1-1 on a turnover. But the first period, guys, I'll start with you. What did you see out there? What did you like from the Sharks from the get-go?
I didn't see the first. I saw the second and third. I was still nosing a book by the first.
Landy, what did you think of
Sorry.
You know what? I think the first period, they came out with a lot of jump. You kind of were wondering what was going to be in the tank, and you always kind of wonder, well, the team that has played the back-to-backs normally jumps out a little bit ahead because they have a little bit of adrenaline from the night before. They're just kind of got their heads a little bit into it. It's as the game wore on is kind of where you either started to see or you were just kind of wondering what was left in the tank. But that first period, I mean, they held their own. I think that they definitely had the territorial edge going in. I think shots on net for the Sharks, if I just pull it up here, if the NHL app will be friendly to me. Yeah. I'm looking for, here we go, first period shots. It was 12-8 in favor of San Jose. And, they brought it out and they did a good job. I think really it was a good opening frame for a road game. Kind of textbook road game opening frame.
Yeah, no, I mean, they looked like they were going to have another solid game, and we're on their way to it. Second period comes, they give up a power play late. Matthew Tkachuk, with his 8th of the year, ties it up at 2. Again, I thought they played pretty solid throughout this whole period. I didn't think it was, one way or another. I mean, the shots were 9-7 in favor of Calgary, but Ian, I thought they played a good second as well.
I don't think they played a particularly bad game, to be completely honest. Were there parts of their game that could have been better? Absolutely. I mean, you got to look at the face-off numbers, not good. But all in all, this isn't a game I'm particularly angry with. Does it suck to give up does it suck to give up a goal? I know I'm jumping ahead, but does it suck to give up a goal in the last 3 minutes? Yeah, of course it sucks. But I'm not mad at this game. I don't think the Sharks just phoned it in. I think they played a decent game, and they just didn't capitalize on their opportunities, and the Flames did.
But I mean, you also got to realize, you're going on 5 D-men, and this is now a back-to-back. They were already taxed last night, and you're taxing them again. They actually fared better than what I would have thought, given the situation. What really is a heartbreaker, though, was, again, I mean, they held control and they held serve through that second period, except for that boneheaded mistake by Dylan. And I keep harping on it because this game was so evenly played that it came down to the little errors.
But even still, I mean, that was a ticky-tacky call.
And don't get me wrong, I'm saying that, but when you have 5 defensemen, you've got to be more conscientious. He can't be doing dumb shit when you've got 5 defensemen. Because if you put yourself in the penalty box, now you're basically down to 2 pairs of D-men for the PK. And I know probably Rocket's going to go off on me, but it just was not smart. Just wasn't smart.
So moving on to the third period, so the guys essentially covered it.
Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. You're totally fine because I was segueing. Shush. Simmer down now. They played a great one. Bodker gets hauled down literally at the last minute and gets a penalty shot. I thought he had a good chance on the penalty shot, and just wasn't able to there. And Bodker's been the hottest guy, especially last night with the hat trick. He played fairly well, I thought, but he just couldn't cash in. Chad Johnson, I mean, kudos to him. He played a great game tonight himself.
Yeah, and I mean, look, penalty shot. I mean, it's one of the situations where I know Chris said this on Twitter, and I really agree with it. I think that instead of it just being like you should have the option of either or, like you can say, okay, I'll take the penalty shot or I'll take the power play. Like, I don't know. I just meh. I can't really bag on Bodker. I don't think that he had some looks. I mean, on that penalty shot, he just didn't get the puck up. That happened. If that happens to anyone else, no one's saying much more than that about it, right? But because it's Bodker, he's going to take extra crap for it, and that's just not fair. Lots of guys don't get the puck up on a shootout or a penalty shot or whatever.
Yeah, in Bodker really went with the speed on there for the penalty shot, but yeah, it is what it is. And then, of course, it was not Tkachuk, it was Dougie Hamilton who got the game-winning goal. Just a quick little shot, that had a little bit of traffic. Dell didn't see it. I mean, rough way to end the night, playing essentially in his hometown. I mean, they panned his family and friends that are up there, and yeah, just a rough one to have it end.
Yeah, he had a great game too. I mean, He was making some really good saves, and I think for me, I just hope that it doesn't, I mean, he's already kind of on thin ice between Peter DeBoer and his playing time. I just hope a loss doesn't push it over the edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope not, because he's played well. How many shots did he take tonight?
I got to take off, guys, but have a good rest of the show.
All right. Enjoy bowling. I expect to hear how well you did later.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Have fun.
All right, bye, guys.
Eric Landy.
Yay.
With us. All right. Yeah, he faced 28 shots, 25 to 28. But it is what it is, and I you can't have him be unreal. I mean, entering tonight, he had a .936 save percentage.
Still got that's a stupid save percentage. He's got a stupid goals against average. I mean, it drives me crazy every time. Like, I mean, I understand that like the rumor people need something to write, but it's like, oh, the Sharks need, the Sharks are looking for a back. Why? They're not looking for a backup. Just
no.
You stupid East Coast reporters, shut up.
No, but I mean, you had all that, and it's like, okay, what was the word we were going after? Enroth.
Why?
For a 7th round pick, so he can play in San Diego.
Right, most likely. That's where I expect to see him.
Yeah, unless Bernier gets waived or something for some reason.
Don't see it happening.
Yeah, and I can't see it happening. The Sharks are too tight against the cap for them to get anything.
It's dumb. It's so dumb. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know who this Aaron Dell guy is because I don't stay awake at night and I don't follow the AHL. So I don't know who this Dell guy is. All I see is he's old and he's not drafted and he's, he came up from the ECHL. So, I mean, I get that all that, on the outside, if you just look at that, you're like, well, this guy can't be that good, right?
But, yeah,
I mean, a lot of guys. I mean, look at. I mean, Andrew Hammond kind of like obviously a different thing, but Andrew
Hamburger,
Hammond
yeah.
had a different, had a similar story and was a flash in the pan. So I get why. I get how this narrative gets started, but it's getting started by people who obviously don't pay enough attention to West Coast hockey. And unfortunately, East Coast, there is a lot of people like that get a ton of media time and get a ton of spotlight. And I mean, I'm not saying all East Coast reporters are like that. I'm just saying that there are a good number that stir the pot that don't pay enough attention to West Coast hockey, especially below the 49th parallel.
Oh, sure. I think usually one thing though, I hate to contradict you, Ian, but the one thing was Ray Ferraro was talking about the value of backup goaltending, and I think it was with TSN 1015 Toronto about how great it is to have a backup, and they were mentioning why isn't this guy starting anything? So it makes no sense. Nonetheless, we want to welcome those of you who stuck around Brody and Kubro to Pucknology After Dark. If you have any tweets, use the hashtag PucknologyAD. Hit the YouTube chat as well. We'll make sure we get to a lot of your comments throughout the show. Also, if you can do us a favor,
sorry, I've been
make sure you
squishing this guy
subscribe.
making noise.
Okay, you go right ahead. And then make sure you follow all of our social media channels to go from there. All right. Okay, Bernsey, believe it's his fourth multi-point game in a row. A goal and assist tonight. I don't want to come off like a homer, but shoot, he's giving me a tough time for saying he's not a lock for the Norris.
He should be. I mean, he should be obviously very highly considered for the Norris. I know that, and again, back to the whole East Coast bias thing, but honestly, I don't unless he has like a serious drop off, I don't see how he can't win the Norris. I mean, the Norris voters love a ton of points. Check. I mean, significantly more than his next, closest guy. It's not like they're, the only thing that would concern me is, it would concern me that you're just going to get some crappy bullshit about a guy like Shea Weber, who's done pretty good in Montreal, reviving his career and blah, 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 because he's on the East Coast, right? Like, I worry about something like that, plus, former Norris winner, yada, yada, yada. That's what makes me nervous, I think, when it comes to, when it comes to a guy like Brent Burns getting Norris. But I think, yeah, absolutely. At this point, I mean, if the season ended today, Norris is absolutely the winner.
Oh, sure. I mean, you're going to have your Carlsons. You're going to have your Dowdies. I mean,
sure. And it's not like I don't think Drew Doughty's having a terrible season. Erik Karlsson's hasn't been Erik Karlsson, but that's never stopped him from being nominated before. Like I said, I mean, it's just you look around the league, and there's guys like Zach Werenski that Gen X brought in the chat. I mean, I would like to see Werenski win the Calder, honestly, but it's not going to happen.
Well, Werenski's been a beast for Columbus, and part of the reason why
still a defenseman.
Yeah, why they've been
depends on how long. Yeah, but I mean, you're going up against Matthews, Marner, Line A. I mean, those are some really sexy players when it comes to points as well. So
the sucky part is that you have
and
guys like.
But let me preface that by saying, a guy like Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews winning, I don't think that would be out of turn either. Like, I don't think that's media bias. I mean, they're both really, really good.
They're really good. Yeah, no. It's just too bad that there isn't an award for defensive play, because I think Marc-Edouard Vlasic would probably win that in a heartbeat. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Looking at the stat sheet, they are crediting, at least on NHL.com, they are crediting Paul Martin with a minute 9 of ice time. The whole defense took a lot of heat, and we're kind of segueing into the debut here.
Sure.
With 5 defense, and a lot of the numbers are going to be up. Dylan was at nearly 23 minutes. Vlasic played nearly 28. Burnsy played 26:49. Braun played 22:24. And then the kid that you and Zach Devine have been raving about.
He's not really a kid, but yeah.
Kid in the sense of welcome to the NHL, your first game. Tim Heed played 16:29 tonight. What did you take from his debut?
From what I saw of Tim Heed, it's basically a continuation of what I've seen in the AHL. He's smart. He's not afraid to, chip in on the play. He's not afraid to move the puck. I thought, given, your first NHL game and you're expected to play, like he plays heavy minutes with the Barracuda already. I really, I liked what I thought. I thought, I didn't think he looked out of place, and maybe I didn't like super notice him at like big, I didn't notice anything super huge where I went, oh my God, Tim Heed, that's so great. But I didn't also, on the flip side, I never said, oh, Tim Heed, what are you doing? Right. So I you know what? I think when you're in that situation, it's the best you can ask for, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I thought, pretty bad. Rocket, it's Calder is the rookie trophy. So, I mean, and I thought he played pretty solid. I thought, no hiccups here and there. He was, let's see here. He was even. He had 1 shot on goal, 2 blocks.
Yeah, I mean, he did
1 takeaway.
everything.
Not bad. He had about a minute of power play. Yeah, and he had a minute of power play time too.
Yep.
So, I mean, nothing too big on there. I think we've pretty much covered everything on the game here. So, let's go around the league. It was
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Well, don't tell me if there's something I missed. By all means, tell me.
No, I've got nothing. I'm just being an ass.
You got nothing. Chatters, do you have anything for us? I would love to hear anything from you. So, by all means, have your questions up. I'm going to hit up the Twitter machine right now.
How does he get credit with 16:29? They got people watching this. They're the NHL. Yeah,
I think they kind of moved. Well, I don't think he got too much playing time later on.
The question of the night: do we think the Sharks would have won if Jones was in goal? No.
Oh gosh, no.
He's been good for 3 goals a night lately. No.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Calgary is very talented offensively, and they have a strong defense, which is why they shut down there. But shoot, I love, this is one thing. I love the play that they had Bodker cherry picking for a breakaway, even though it was an even strength. I thought that was unreal. And I believe that was Vlasic. Correct me if I'm wrong. If that was Vlasic that fed Bodker on that breakaway, and shoot. Man, oh man, I thought, oh man, if he's going to go, I knew he was going to go glove side, and just no luck on it.
If he would have got the puck up, if he would have been able to lift the puck, would have been fine. He probably would have been a goal. He just couldn't get the puck off the ice. Yeah, this stuff happens. It happens to the best of players. It'll happen to Mikhail Bodker. I thought Bodker played pretty good tonight, though. Like I didn't think he was a disaster at all. Like there's been games where I've been really, really sour on Bodker. This one wasn't one of them. I wasn't really sour on anyone. I know Landy was really on Dylan, but I mean, yeah, you can't do stupid stuff like that, in front of your own net. But at the same, like, it just, I don't know. To me, it was just they had their chances. So I'm not gonna go one power play where Calgary scored and be like, well, there, like the penalty kill just needs to be better. The special teams need to be better in general.
Yeah,
for the Sharks, like it's that simple. I mean, we can bag on Dylan for taking the penalty, but I mean, the penalty killers for a reason. They need to actually start killing some penalties again. They need to score some power play goals. I know they got one tonight, but if your special teams aren't, going to be good, then you can't afford to take dumb penalties. So it's kind of, again, it just kind of goes all around. I don't think it's, it's easy because Dylan's like our favorite punching bag, but tonight I'm just like, whatever. There's so many chances the Sharks could have buried and didn't. So it is what it is.
But and here's the situation as the Sharks head home now. Defensively, you have Schlemko out, who, I mean, is it upper, is it lower body?
Upper body for Schlemko.
Or upper body or Sama for sure, because I know he had lower beforehand.
As far as I know, it's been upper body the whole time.
I thought he
had, when he got hurt in the Kings game, it was upper body. And that's the last we saw.
So it's upper body for Schlemko.
That's what I heard last. I could be wrong.
You have DeMello out with the wrist, and they said he's out for a bit.
Yes, weeks, not days.
Right. Thank you, Zach Cassian.
It's hockey.
You also have Mirko Mueller, or not? I'm sorry, not Mirko Mueller. Paul Martin, who was supposed to be sub for Mirko Mueller. I guess took a blocked
a shot last game. He was sore on it. He tried to skate today and couldn't.
So you have those three defensemen. So I'm guessing we're going with Burns, Vlasic, Braun, Dylan, Heat, and Mueller. Mueller for Saturday night. And you bring up somebody from the Barracuda just to.
No, I think you know what? Paul Martin at least tried to skate on it today. He blocked a shot. But I mean, if he's trying to skate on it today, then he's probably able to skate on it Saturday. I think Paul Martin's back, and then you pick between Mueller and Heat, I guess, for Saturday night.
Yeah. All right. Now I think we've got this.
Oh, we got a question. Just someone's asking about Timo Meier. Timo Meier, you know what? I feel that Timo's gotten better. I thought, a couple of games ago he had one of his best games in Teal. Yeah, he's not getting goals, and yes, he's on the top line, and everyone should get goals on the top line. But I mean, his game isn't perfect, but I don't know. I don't think that he's been bad. I don't know who else you put back up. I don't think you need Marleau out there. I think putting Marleau down lower is better for your depth, especially when your depth is getting as ravaged by injuries and cold streaks as it is. I kind of like a lot of the stuff that he's done on the top line. He goes in there, he goes after the puck. He's made some really solid plays. I just think that it's a learning experience. You're learning on the job. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who you would, I still think with everything going on, like I would rather have Timo Meier in the NHL than Ice Wingles.
Okay. That makes a fair point.
I don't know. I don't think I think he's fine. I think he's learning. He's a smart kid. He's going to figure it out. I think that it's going to take some time. He was never going to be the guy that was going to break on the scene and score, 30 goals. And it was never, if that's what the expectation was, it was a dumb expectation. I mean, yeah, the Sharks took him higher than he should have went. But there's a lot of things where, he just consistently shows improvement. So I don't think he needs to go back to the AHL, to be completely honest. And that's not just me being like a Timo guy. I just think he's fine.
Do you think that he's kind of almost a placeholder for when Hurdle gets back?
When Hurdle comes back, that's a totally different animal. And then I think at that point, if you can't get Meier if you can't get Timo on the Meier on the score sheet, then I think maybe you start looking at options. But right now, really, I don't know who you would bring up or put back in the lineup that's going to make it better than it is now. Yeah. I like Dan O'Regan, but Dan O'Regan is not a top 6 player right now.
Like Phil is saying, do you give Joakim Ryan a shot? Would he be the 7th defenseman if Martin can't go?
I don't know. I would have given both Ryan and he to look at the NHL before Mirko, flat out. But I don't want Joachim Ryan to come up and sit in the press box. I don't like Tim Heed coming up and sitting in the press box. I want those guys playing on the Barracuda.
Yeah, no, because I don't think you need to rush everybody, and then you're really putting a tough time in the Barracuda as well. Say no, and only Vegas has placeholders. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's very true. All right, so got to watch out with the call-ups, guys. Waivers, contracts, and protection.
Anyone the Sharks would call up would be fine. Joachim Ryan's not waiver eligible. Timo can go down without being claimed. There's no one really on the Barracuda that could come up at this point that's not free of waiver issues. Unless I guess unless you're calling up John McCarthy, because that's so Sharks.
No, I'm not sure how you would call him first before Goldobin. If there's a forward that they call up next, I would think it's got to be Goldie.
Yeah,
or
you know what?
Regan.
Okay, no. You know what? Honestly, I would honestly, and I know I'm gonna catch hell in the chat. I don't care. I would honestly, if you were going to send back down Timo, that is who I'd call up. I would call up Goldie and at least give him a look, because there's been stretches. Look at Goldie hasn't had the perfect AHL season by any stretch, but man, he has had some. I mean, he's so on and off, right? But his on stretches have been on this year, and I don't care what anyone says. That's truth. The problem is what Goldobin do you get when you call him back up? Do you get the one that's been on, or do you get the one that's been off? I honestly, yeah, Goldie should get a look. I don't think he hasn't been a disaster this year by any stretch. I think he's looked really good. I would love to see what Goldie can do on that top line. He's been really, really good with when he's had, either O'Regan or Chartier in the middle. Imagine, I still think that there's enough in his game that he should at least get a look. I'm not saying he should be a full-timer, but he should get a look.
Gotcha. All right, so let's go around the league. Wasn't too much of the schedule tonight. Only 4 games, including the Sharks losing to Calgary 3-2. The Panthers beat the Islanders 2-1 in the three-quarter arena that's known as Barclays Center with the car. Montreal
league.
Sparky.
The car.
Oh, the car. Gotcha.
Bergie's coming back.
Montreal beats Winnipeg 7-4. They jumped out early on the Jets when I first saw that game start. And I think Hellebuck gave up 2 goals on the first 3 shots. So that was a tough one. Alex
Hellebuck's had a tough year, but you know what? It's so funny because they're just calling for heads in Winnipeg right now, and it baffles my mind because that was they stuck behind. And they would tell you how great Pavlik was and how Pavlik just deserved a chance for 5 years, and now they've got this goalie who has ridiculous amounts of upside, and it's we don't like him. We want. I don't know if they
what Hutchison.
Hutchinson's fine. I mean, Hutchinson's not a starter either. I don't think. I think Hellebuck's got a much higher ceiling than Hutchinson. Hutchinson's a good, serviceable guy, though. Would
you say that I know we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. Could Winnipeg go for a goalie maybe at the deadline if they're in a race?
They're not going to be in a race. They're not good. Winnipeg's weird, and I don't know if it's and I like Paul Maurice, but I kind of wonder if they just need a new set of eyes there, because that team you look at the talent on that team, and yes, okay, the defense isn't fantastic, but there's enough talent on that team that they should be better than they are at this point.
And that's what I thought. I thought Laine was a perfect piece, and with all the prospects that they have
Right,
coming,
but I mean, prospects need to develop, right? That's the one thing that always, that's the one thing that everyone wants their prospects done now. It doesn't always work that way. Yes, Patrick Laine, obviously, he's the real deal and he's going to be good. And once he gets out of this concussion mess, and hopefully that's sooner than later, he'll go back to being Patrick Laine again, hopefully. But it's,
right.
Everyone's not like that. And yeah, you got a lot of kids in your system. Kids got to, do stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I still think, maybe not this year, but maybe down the road, watch out for Winnipeg. And
Yeah,
no,
they,
that's
they,
not
they
because
should be.
I love Winnipeg or anything like that. I think Winnipeg could be pretty good down the road.
They have enough pieces that they should be better than they are, period.
Yeah.
It's just getting those pieces to finally look at. Yeah, I mean, another guy who probably doesn't get enough press, probably, in the States, is Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele has really, really come along now. And, I think we saw it in the World Cup a little bit. But yeah, again, it took a little time, and now he's really, really good. I mean, I've watched a ton of Jets games this year. The Jets have been a fun team to watch, for sure. And but I mean, it's just, they need to be better based on the pieces they have, for sure.
Yeah. Continuing on, the other game, which of course was Wednesday night rivalry and an actual Wednesday night rivalry.
Columbus versus Florida.
No, it was Capitals 5, Penguins 2. Ovechkin with 2 goals. He hits 1,000 points in his career.
All of those points coming in since like the year 2000 or whatever, right? Like this century.
Yeah, since basically. After the canceled season.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely a crazy moment. I think Crosby's right behind him at 988, and then I believe Jumbo's following him, not too far behind. So,
yeah, no, I look at it. It's I mean, Ovechkin's a special player. I mean, it sucks because, like, I know they really wanted that. They really, really wanted that Crosby Ovechkin thing, and they really, really tried to push that. But it's kind of hard to, like. Doesn't Ovechkin have to win something for it to be a rivalry? I don't know. I mean, I know it sounds jerky of me, but look at.
But it's true.
2 Stanley Cups. How many gold medals?
No,
you have to win something.
And for that matter, the second. I mean, Ovechkin hasn't gotten around out of the second round.
Yeah, and
that's when you have that imbalance. I think, yeah, that causes an issue, and you start losing the rivalry in that sense.
Yeah, no, I think in order to have a rivalry, it can't just be this one-sided bitch slap fest. Like, you got to do something, and I think it's unfortunate a little bit, even though a lot of it obviously is manufactured by the league, but it's kind of unfortunate that it's never really been a true rivalry because, again, you have to fucking win something.
Okay, I must be having AOL issues because everybody is making fun of AOL.
No, the YouTube's actually been. I've watched the show a couple of times where I've had buffering issues and stuff just because YouTube's dicking around with everything.
Yeah, no,
so they have AOL today.
Yeah, see, it's not my fault this time, for once. All right, well, nothing much. I mean, the Sharks and the Flames were the only 2 teams in the Pacific that play tonight, but let's take a look at the standings really quick. Sharks stay at 52. Ducks won last night after just as we were going off the air, so they're at 52. Edmonton Idol at 49. Calgary now moves within a point of Edmonton at 48, and those two go do the Battle of Alberta this weekend on Hockey Night in Canada. So that'll be a great one. And then, of course, there's the other one as well. LA and Vancouver at 44 points. So you got you have like 3 races in one division, Ian. The battle for the Pacific lead.
Yeah. Oh,
the
it's
Battle of Alberta. So,
it's some interesting times. Look, I don't care how many points Vancouver racks up. I am not taking Vancouver seriously. I refuse to take Vancouver seriously. So I'm not going to dignify them with a response. But I mean, I'm not going to count out the Kings, especially when Quick comes back. I think that they can, that they look at, they've done it a ton of times where they've made some late pushes. And I know this isn't the same team that it was, but this is a team that has been known to, just kind of coast along, and then, a month or two before the season, boom, and they're in. And
yeah.
so, I mean, is it unrealistic? No, I'm surprised that the Pacific, like, for how mediocre the Pacific is to hold both wildcard spots, is just unreal to me, to be honest. Like, it just shows how lopsided the Central's gotten, whereas last season, like, everyone in the Central was good. This season, not so much.
Right. I mean, you have Nashville and Dallas struggling.
Yep.
Well,
Dallas, I mean, Dallas was like, we have bad goalies. Let's trade away the rest of our defense and see if bad goalies get better. Like, their defense their defense wasn't good last year. It's worse this year. And then you have, like, Klingberg hasn't been himself, and that obviously hurts. I mean, there's a lot going on there, but really they did that to themselves. Your defense is worse. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that, like, what did they lose? They lost Goligoski, right? Like, Goligoski's in Arizona now, I think. And
yep.
You let Demers go to Florida. I mean, look, I'm not saying these guys are, like, top flight defensemen, but man, that adds up. Like,
semi-decent,
they didn't replace them with anything, and so I'm not really surprised Dallas sucks, because their goalies are awful, and their goalies are awful, and their defense is worse somehow.
Yeah. Kevin Lacey, of course, yes. He wanted me to bring this up. How about Randy Hahn with the line of the night? Weidman runs into referee. That's weird. I thought he only ran into linesman.
Oh, man. Yeah, fantastic. Dennis White. Douche. I can't even believe after all that, like, that they ended up overturning that suspension. Like, it was, to me, it looked so blatant that he went and just took a run at the ref. Like, I don't care, man. It's dumb.
Yeah, I don't get it. And I think Don Henderson still hasn't
that's a good question.
Officiated a game.
Probably, and we'll never know, because the NHL's never going to bring attention to that ever again.
Oh, no. Rocket, we missed Rafi tonight. You mean Niemi is not going to win Dallas the Cup?
No.
And I think even Jamie Benn is still out with an injury.
Jamie Benn's close to being back, I think, though.
Yeah. I
thought I read that today. I, again, could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Ben's pretty close to being back.
Gotcha. Yeah, so nothing on the Twitter machine. Chat, do you have anything for us to yap about? We're more than likely to take your questions as we go here. I'm trying to look around here. Pucknologist will be recording tomorrow night, so you'll be getting Pucknologist with AJ Rocket and Hockey Jerk on either late Thursday night or Friday morning. Don't forget, Ian will be on After Dark this weekend, but he'll also be doing Writer's Room, which is every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on the Pucknology Writer's Room channel. So look that up on your YouTube. Don't forget, and I've made a couple of tweets here, but don't forget, January 21st, it is Jumbo Chia Night. It is also Sharks Social Media Night, and we've partnered with them to bring you the 6th annual Sharks Tweet Up 2017.
What's a tweet up?
By all means, you are at the tank when the doors open, and for that matter, meet up with yours truly among other people with the from the Twitter machine that you always talk about. Yes, Laurel, buttons. So, yes,
Kevin,
definitely. Kevin, is there
asks, was something going on with Sharks tickets? Yeah, something's going on Sharks tickets. You'll probably want to listen to the Pucknologists tomorrow because I'm sure they're going to be all over it.
I'm not quite sure what. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits and renewals, and and a fancy new area coming soon as well for super fancy 365 holders.
Super fancy. Super fancy. Yeah. I had another question too. What do I think that the Pacific Division standings look like when it's over? I think they look very similar to what they do now. I don't think the Ducks are going away. I think that I'm not sure where Calgary and LA are gonna like what order they're gonna finish, but I think that the three seats are gonna look the same. I don't think the Oilers are going away. Like after 43 games, I think we have to accept that they're kind of for real this year. Now, for real Stanley Cup contender, no, but they're definitely a playoff team, and I think that they can finish. I think they can finish third in the Pacific. So I think it's going to look a lot like it does now.
So you say so essentially, and now we can officially kind of get into it now.
Yeah.
If playoffs started today, it would be Anaheim versus Edmonton, and the let's see, the number one wild card will be us because Chicago's better than us right now.
Correct. So we would play
the
second
Calgary.
seeded, the top seed. Yeah, we'd play Calgary or whoever slides in. I don't know if I think that's the way the Pacific's going to pan out. I don't think Vancouver's for real. I think Vancouver's going to fall off. I look at Chad Johnson. We saw it tonight. Calgary is getting some good goaltending, which they didn't get in the start of the season. Calgary, I think, is a better team than the record did. I don't think we're just complete idiots for thinking that Calgary was going to be good this year. I think we may have, overvalued Brian Elliott a little bit, and I'm definitely guilty of that. But overall, I mean, it's a decent team. Like again, it's another team that has the pieces to be a good team. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Calgary be a wild card team, but I don't know. I still think Nashville's going to come on a late push and push somebody out from the Pacific out of that wild card seed.
Yeah, and with the winning the Pacific means you're most likely going to be doing some. I mean, you have home ice for at least round one, but you'll definitely have you'll definitely have your freaking travel going because that's almost like the disadvantage of winning your division, I would think.
Yeah, I you know what, I've been okay on the playoff thing, but I'm starting to sour on it too. I know I've been one of the last guys to really sour on the playoff format they have now. I mean, you look at some of these teams, like I bring this up for a second here because I had something that was brought to my attention. I thought it was a really good talking point, so just bear with me as Ian computes.
Well, you do that. I'll promote
all right,
something
so you
else.
Have teams. You have 4 teams, and they're all in the East, and they have like just 4 or 5 teams in the East that have just ridiculous 4 teams that have ridiculous goal differentials, right? Columbus plus 45, Washington plus 34, Pittsburgh plus 27, Montreal plus 31, Rangers plus 39. If the playoffs started today, because that's what we like to do, if the playoffs started today,
we gotta start it.
2 of those teams are gone in the first round. Like, that's just not right.
Would you rather go back to top 8?
Yeah, I think so. I do like the rivalries, and I know that look at the LA, yeah, maybe the LA series haven't all gone the way we'd like them to, but like it's still that first round. I mean, the first round before, you could get some really dumb matchups. I find like the first round under this playoff format, at least the first round kind of engages you because they are, generally speaking, they're actual legitimate rivalries. And then the rest of the playoffs kind of take care of themselves, right? You get to the first 2 rounds, everything else kind of takes care of itself because then it's the conference finals. If you're a hockey fan that's a fan beyond even just the Sharks, then you don't really need the hook after the first round, right? But I find that the first round, you want to get interested. There's a lot of games happening. I kind of like that aspect, but I'm kind of also kind of souring on it because I feel like teams get punished for being in good divisions. Frankly.
Yeah.
like Anaheim and Edmonton would have to play each other, but Minnesota draws St. Louis. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like you get punished for being in a good division. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I did like 1 through 8. I did like 1 through 8 because I thought that was more realistic and it kind of balanced the travel in the West.
You know what though, but
But
that's the
I
same
like
time though. Like that's not guaranteed. I mean, how many times did we play? We played Detroit in the first 2 rounds a bunch of times. That's not good for travel. Yeah, the other thing with 1 versus 8 too is sometimes you just get like a real snooze. Like, let's be honest. Like last year, yeah, I think that was a little more intense. But did anyone really care before about those first round series with Nashville? Like, was anyone really getting up for that? Not really. I mean, yeah, the Sharks. We're obviously happy the Sharks won those series, but it wasn't a sexy matchup.
no, no, no. It wasn't a sexy matchup, but I mean, look, I'll kind of go through 1 through 8 right now, and that means putting the 2 division winners on top.
Okay.
It would be Chicago versus LA, which it would be right now in the other format. San Jose would take on St. Louis as the number 7 seed.
Mm-hmm.
You would have Minnesota, Calgary, and Anaheim and Edmonton. So a couple of teams get
Terrible.
moved around. But I mean, that's what it would look like. The East would be Columbus
Meat grinder.
and Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
You would have Columbus, Ottawa, Montreal versus Philly.
Is anyone getting excited for that Columbus, Ottawa though?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just
No, I
it's
could
just
I could
one of those
see
things
the
where it's
little
just like,
Canadian bias go on with the officiating there. Montreal would play Philly. Washington would take on Boston. Oh my gosh, NBC would have a field day with that, along with it's like Doc Emmerich would just have to stay in New York and Pittsburgh the whole time because it would be Rangers and Penguins again. Waka waka. So, but that's what it looked like if it was the conference. It was in the conference format. Let's see. So we have a couple of things here before we get out of here. Chris, I believe you are planning a oh no. Oh great. Ian, are you there?
I'm here.
Apparently the feed froze.
No.
The feed froze. And that's great.
That's lame.
That is so lame.
So, I mean, hopefully they can come back to it at the end. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll keep it rolling. And just in case if it ends or not. Yeah. No, see now it's back for some reason. Couple of things. Chris is going to be talking to Kurt Bryce from letsgoblues.com. So if you have any questions, hit up at ChrisGWS on the Twitter machine. And another thing as well, if you want, AJ's been mentioning this a lot, if you want the super fancy Pucknology After Dark merchandise.
Oh yes, merch.
Merch.
It's good. I like that.
Shop.spreadshirt.com/puckguy is the link to go to. Make sure you hit that up. Yeah, see, I'm seeing it now. So yeah, it's YouTube. It's not me, hosers. It's don't make fun of me. Jeez. It's youtube.com/ I should probably load that one so that you can see it. YouTube.com. I was getting all my addresses mixed up. Shop.spreadshirt.com/puckguy for the merchandise of all that fun stuff. Yeah, Lacey's like, feed totally took a shit.
It's not our fault.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Refresh it if you want, guys. Final thoughts, Mr. Reed? Besides, you've been up a long time and join that.
Oh, I need to unwind. So I'm glad that we did the show. No, look, it was a good game. I don't think that, there's games where you lose that you should be really pissed off about, and then there's games that you just kind of, you chalk it up, you put it, you just kind of close the book on it and you move on. And this is a loss where you just close the book and move on. It's not worth getting upset about. I don't think it's worth getting upset about at all. I thought that the Sharks played a decent game under the circumstances, and it just wasn't other than the face-offs, it really wasn't a terrible game. So, just forget about it. It's not worth your anger.
No, it wasn't an awful game. They played a decent game. This is one of those ones where they should have won. So remember, when we steal a game from somebody, we balance it out. So Rob Humphrey wants to, are we closer to a decision on the Olympics? I haven't heard anything. Have you?
I haven't heard anything good, so I'm just going to assume we're in a holding pattern.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. Again, we apologize for YouTube's technical difficulties because me and Ian were talking away the whole time, so we apologize for that.
Yeah, once it processes, you might be able to go back, and I'm sure the audio is going to come out fine, but whatever. Oh, speaking of audio, you can find this on your audio stream on the YouTubes, the Google Plays, the SoundClouds, the Grinders, the MySpace, the
Grinders,
wow. the Snapchats, the Christian Mingle, the Farmers Only. We're there.
God. In other words, subscribe here. We do the live interactive Sharks postgame show after every game. For more Sharks news and opinions, visit Pucknology.net for all your stuff. We're looking forward to having a social media week, which will lead into the tweet up for next Saturday night. And also follow us on our social channels, Facebook, Twitter.
Hockey Hookups.
Rocket Backhander runs our Instagram. Those are all at Pucknology. SoundCloud, Google Play, iTunes, all that fun stuff. And the YouTube for the Pucknology Writers Room as well. All right. Last final thoughts. Go ahead.
I have nothing. Just don't be mad at this game. Follow us on Hockey Hookups. Call it a night.
And we will. We'll be back with you on Saturday night. Well, Ian will. I won't. Somebody got stuck at work. With Chris GWS, among another person. And we'll be back with you on Saturday night for the Sharks and the St. Louis Blues. Until then, for the entire staff at Pucknology, keep it real, keep it tight, keep it real tight. Good night.